Carl Wilkinson, how much in the loop are you when it comes to the social media beef that seems to be erupting between Matt Cardona and NWA star Trevor Murdoch?
Oh, nothing. I know absolutely nothing.
So it's already come and gone. Cardona had some opinions. So Trevor Murdoch, some people might recognize him as the NWA World Champion fairly recently. He beat Nick Aldis and ended his long run, and great match. And obviously, I think it was NWA 73, which is very cool. So Matt Cardona was a recent guest on Busted Open Radio. He said, they need a face of the company like me. Trevor Murdoch, no offense to Trevor, but the guy's not even verified on social media, right? How can you have a world champion not even verified on social media? It's an embarrassment, Cardona said. I think it's like 10,000 followers. That's horrible. My dog has 10,000 followers. Matt Cardona then went on to reveal Trevor Murdoch treated him poorly in WWE. The former Intercontinental Champion believes his success has been revenge for that. However, Cardona is happy to see Murdoch's success, but he doesn't believe his time is over with the NWA World's Heavyweight title. Trevor Murdoch is a guy who, when I first got to WWE, treated me like shit. Says Matt Cardona. He was one of the boys in the dressing room, and I was his rookie. I was this rookie, excuse me. Legit, he was one of the cool guys in the dressing room, right? Caden Murdoch didn't like having to work the Major Brothers on dark matches, didn't like that. So now, all these years later, I think my success has been my revenge. I'm happy for Trevor now. He's come back. His son has seen him wrestle. That's great, but this story is over, Trevor. He got his title. He has the picture of him in the Harley gear with the title. That's great. It's over, Trevor. We need a real champion in the NWA, someone who's going to bring some credibility to the title, some buzz. Now, obviously, with lines like that, it's kind of a work. But Trevor Murdoch did clap back recently because he was on Busted Open Radio. He said the former IC champion had claimed, obviously, Murdoch wasn't the right face of the NWA, as we just mentioned. While Matt Cardona was trying to figure out for the last 10 and a half years how to get a 70-year-old man to love him, I was out traveling the world, hitting Japan, India, and wrestling, doing what I love, Trevor said. But this guy again comes in and wants to bury me on everything. He wants to talk shit, about a company that's got 73 years of heritage. He's not going out here talking shit about me, but he's talking shit about Harley. He's talking shit about Ric Flair. He's talking shit about Colt Cabana. He's talking shit about Nick Aldis. Someone doesn't quite fit in that list of people you just mentioned. We have the most prestigious world title in the history of this business, and I'm carrying it. That's the validation I need. Matt Cardona, let's be fair. This is clearly a work.
100%.
It wouldn't surprise me if he did at some point have a very brief interaction with Trevor Murdoch and he upset him maybe, and he thought, I might use this as, beef later down the line. What do you think about this new direction of Matt Cardona going very much in the opposite of what we saw as Zack Ryder in WWE? He's now this shit-eating prick who hates all the legends, who's got a big-ass chip on his shoulder. And Trevor Murdoch, to some, is the perfect personification of old school wrestling, of old school values. He's the guy who comes out with the trunks. He's got the gnarly kind of, sort of Southern bar accent. And he looks like he's going to fuck you up. And he very much embodies everything that the NWA was for the majority of its career. Proper old school, tooth and nail, fight to the death professional wrestler. Do you like this as a contrasting storyline?
I mean, it's new school versus old school. Like, Zack Ryder or Matt Cardona has been playing the social media game before anybody else. He was a IC, True Long Island Story, wherever the fuck his YouTube show was called. Yeah. He had his own internet championship before Impact ever did it, their digital media thing, which is still hilarious. But I think if a match is going to happen, because let's be honest, a match is probably going to happen, I think it'll be good. I've always thought Matt Cardona was a good worker. Never great. Like, he didn't blow me away. He had his cool moments, but it was more his character that stuck to me in when he was in WWE. Like, I felt bad for Zack Ryder when, he kicked him in the dick or Kane pushed him off the stage, or that entire embrace the hate storyline. You just feel bad for Zack Ryder because he got the shit into the stick at every single possible moment. But that was relatable. He was just like the dork that, a big Chad dude steals his girlfriend and then she kicks him in the dick on, international TV. And Trevor Murdoch is, I almost said Matt Murdoch. That's Daredevil, Kyle. Trevor Murdoch is like you said, this old Southern gritty boy, big lad that'll just fuck your day up and then go home and not think twice about it. This match could be so much fun.
Yeah, I think Matt Cardona like is now in the opposite position where he's kind of the big dumb jock, and he's like, "Oh, fucking traditions for douchebags," and Trevor Murdoch's fucking old and gay and shit. And it kind of works. It's really simple and it's really effective. And once again, it reminds us that NWA is doing good stuff, and more people need to pay attention to it. And they're very clever because they cherry pick what they think is hot at the time and use it, and they use it right. And Nick Aldis was a masterpiece of a champion that probably will go down as one of the most underrated but longest reigning champions in the history of anything, which is a shame in many ways. You know, Trevor Murdoch is an admirable replacement for him, but I must admit he doesn't feel like as big a deal as Nick Aldis did as champion. That's just my personal opinion. I like Trevor Murdoch. I cheered when he won the belt. I liked it. I watched the match in full. It was a great match. I honestly thought he was going to retire as well. That's what surprised me about it, because I just thought, well, you know, Nick Aldis isn't going to drop the belt to Trevor Murdoch, surely. And that's exactly what they did. They got you with it. This feels like the go-home run for Trevor Murdoch, so let's chuck some great heels in front of him. But I think putting the belt on Matt Cardona might be a good thing because he's making a lot of noise, and it opens the avenues to work with other places. GCW, where he's been working recently, and there's a lot of potential crossover. Maybe, you know, an Alex Zane representing GCW could come in and come after him in NWA, and you could have these high-flying, young, spirited matches. I still think Trevor Murdoch's got something to offer. I just don't think it is as the world champion, but I am intrigued to watch this. And they're manufacturing, so to speak, a fair amount of beef here online, and they're doing a good job of it. And maybe this is a good time to point out to young wrestlers, to young people, that you can actually make your own heat. If you can't get heat, you know, Matt Cardona, we always saw it, didn't we? You know, you were a big proponent of his in WWE. Oh, he never gets the push. He always gets treated so poorly. But instead of being a fucking little bitch about it and crying, he stuck it out, didn't he? He stayed there for so long, and he just kept working and collecting his paycheck. And people thought, it's weird, isn't it? At first, you feel sorry for him. Then people start going the other way, like they do with Dolph Ziggler, where they're like, well, if you're going to choose to stay there and be a bitch, then we're just going to call you a bitch. And you can't win with wrestling fans. We know that. But for me, I like the idea of long-term Matt Cardona turning everything on its head like he has. And I think he's done a very admirable job of now becoming this ridiculously OTT, you know, deathmatch hating, but yet, you know, participating dickhead. And he's got his wife as well as ringside, or his fiance in Chelsea Green. I think they might have just got married, actually. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. Congratulations, you bastard. But it works. It fucking works. And this is, for me, a very good example of how people in wrestling, yeah, it works. It just does. Any final thoughts, mate?
Kenny Omega, take tips. This is how you use Twitter.
This is how you do, I don't know, anything involving personality.